Fever will have over 600,000 fans in attendance total this year, and the second best to that was in 1999 with the Washington Mystics. And any other team, not only this year in 2024, you can see the Liberty are third on this list, and the Liberty are third, fourth, and fifth on this list, but those are the only two teams that are in 2024. 600,000, breaking that record by that much. That's why it's so crazy to me when people try to deny the fact that the WNBA is growing. This attendance is crazy.
600,000 fans, one season. The Indiana Fever just did something no one thought possible. They didn't just break the WNBA attendance record, they obliterated it. How did a team that couldn't fill half their arena last year suddenly become the hottest ticket in town? It all started with one draft pick that changed everything. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Let's talk about how bad things were for the Fever before. Last season, they were struggling to get fans in the seats. You know how many people showed up on average? Just 4,067. That's not even half the arena. It was looking pretty grim for Indiana basketball. But then, boom, the draft happens, and the Fever pick up Caitlin Clark. Suddenly, everything changes. The team that couldn't get 5,000 fans is now packing in crowds of 17,000 every single game. That's insane. It's like night and day. You might be thinking, okay, but how did one rookie do all that? Here's the thing, it's not just about great basketball skills. There's something else going on here, and you won't believe what it is. That something else is what we call the Caitlin Clark effect. It's not just her skills on the court, it's like she's got some kind of basketball magic. How else do you explain a rookie turning a struggling team into the hottest ticket in the WNBA almost overnight? Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's game. This rookie isn't just good, she's redefining what it means to be a WNBA star. Her stats are off the charts, and every time she steps on the court, something amazing happens. It's like watching a highlight reel in real time. But here's the thing, it's not just about the numbers. Clark's got this energy that's infectious. When she plays, the whole team seems to level up.
The WNBA has seen record-breaking numbers this season in viewership, ticket sales, merch sales, and just overall growth of the league. The WNBA has called for growth for several years. Taking a look back at the last 20 years, they've unfortunately been met with a stalemate. But enter 2024 and the Caitlin Clark effect. So if we take a look at this line chart, we can see the dip in 2021 because of COVID, and then this huge spike in 2024.
And the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history.
Clarkonomics, my friend, Clarkonomics.
Suddenly, the Fever aren't just playing, they're putting on a show, and people are noticing. You know what's crazy? Caitlin Clark games have become must-see events. It's not just Fever fans showing up. We're talking about packed houses everywhere she goes. Even when the Fever play away games, arenas are filling up. The Los Angeles Sparks, they had their highest attendance of the season when the Fever came to town. That's the Caitlin Clark effect in action. Imagine this, you're a casual basketball fan, and you hear about this rookie who's tearing up the league. You decide to check out a game, and bam, you're hooked. That's what's happening all over Indiana and beyond. People who've never watched a WNBA game before are suddenly die-hard Fever fans. Now, let's talk numbers, because they're mind-blowing. In just 5 games, the Fever's home attendance surpassed their total home attendance from the entire previous season. Let that sink in for a second. What took a whole season before, Caitlin Clark did in 5 games. But you know what's even crazier? The Fever saw a 265% increase in fan engagement compared to last season. That's not a typo, 265%. It's like the whole city of Indianapolis suddenly remembered they love basketball. And it's not just the fans in the seats. TV ratings are through the roof. Clark's debut game, it set an ESPN2 viewership record with 2.12 million viewers.
The Atlanta Dream set the record for the biggest crowd to watch a WNBA game in Georgia history.
Pretty exciting. One of the big reasons fans flock to State Farm Arena is, of course, the Caitlin Clark effect.
Caitlin Clark tonight.
Oh, gotta watch number 22.
I've been watching Caitlin for a couple of years, and since then I've dreamed about coming to a game.
That she's with just brought brought a lot to the WNBA and also to the game itself and for women, so women's sports.
That's more people than some NBA games get. Even the WNBA bigwigs are amazed. The league's chief growth officer, Collie Edison, straight up said, "I'm not going to deny the Caitlin Clark effect. When the suits are admitting something's unprecedented, you know it's big. But here's the real kicker. It's not just about watching the game. Fans want a piece of the action to take home. Fever merchandise sales have gone through the roof. We're talking a massive spike, especially for Clark's jersey. How massive? Try a 1,000% increase in sales since the start of the season. That's not a boom, that's an explosion. Jersey sales are through the roof, but that's nothing compared to what's happening in the arenas.
And it's after Clark was picked. Stores rolled out Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever jerseys and t-shirts.
Fans are on the hunt for anything and everything Clark now that she's officially a member of the Indiana Fever.
Away from Christmas time through, I mean, we didn't have nearly enough in stock for just the regular jersey t-shirts and whatnot. And then it's just been nonstop orders coming in still today.
Dick Weiss posted that more Caitlin Clark Indiana Fever jerseys were sold in one day than the Cowboys sold last year for the entire team.
Remember when 10,000 fans at a WNBA game was a big deal? The Fever are making those numbers look tiny. We're talking about packing in crowds that would make some NBA teams jealous. The Fever aren't just filling seats, they're shattering records left and right. How many fans do you think it takes to break a WNBA attendance record? Double it. Now, triple it. You're getting close. The Indiana Fever have pulled off something incredible. They've brought in over 600,000 fans in a single season. That's not just breaking the old WNBA record, it's obliterating it. The previous record, about 400,000, the Fever didn't just edge past it, they left it in the dust. Let's break this down. At home games, the Fever are averaging nearly 17,000 fans per game. That's not just good, that's practically sold out every single night. And get this, they set a new record with 1,103 fans against the Los Angeles Sparks. That's like fitting the entire population of a small town into one arena. But it's not just about bodies and seats. These fans are hungry for everything Fever. Merchandise sales, they've gone through the roof. We're talking a 500% increase overall. And Caitlin Clark jerseys, they're not just selling, they're flying off the shelf. Sales are up 1,000%. That's not a typo. 1,000%. You know what's wild? This isn't just happening in Indiana. The Fever's success is lifting the entire WNBA. League-wide attendance is up 46%. That's huge. It's like the Fever lit a fire under the whole league. Todd Taylor, the big boss at Pacers Sports and Entertainment, says it makes total sense. With the WNBA getting more popular, players becoming household names, and the Fever moving to bigger venues, it's a perfect storm of basketball awesomeness. But wait, there's more. The Fever aren't just winning with fans, they're winning with businesses too.
She has lived up to expectations, right? I'm looking at her the way I look at LeBron James, right? For us, just in the women's side of things, and the hype that she had, the expectations she had.
Let's start with the rookie, Caitlin Clark Kent. Superwoman, you see what I did there? She was on a tear, and last night was no different. Wings, Fever, Caitlin Clark set to go as she broke the single-season assist record.
She's been playing like a top 5 player in the league. She's been regularly dishing out double-digit assists in that time frame. Teams can no longer blitz her and trap her.
Corporate partnerships are up 225% this season. That means more money, more exposure, and more opportunities for the team and the league. Think about it. Last year, the Fever were struggling to fill half their arena. Now, they're setting attendance records, selling out of merch, and attracting big-time sponsors. It's like they've gone from zero to hero in the blink of an eye. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a one-time thing. Fever are building something special. They're not just breaking records, they're creating a whole new standard for what's possible in women's basketball. Think packing arenas is impressive? Wait until you hear about the Fever's virtual takeover. They're not just winning games, they're winning the internet. And it's changing the game for women's sports in ways you never saw coming. The Indiana Fever aren't just making waves on the court, they're causing a tsunami in the media world. Let's talk about their national TV coverage. The Fever are leading the league with 38 games scheduled on major networks. That's not just good, that's primetime exposure that most WNBA teams can only dream of. And people are tuning in like never before. Remember the season opener? It peaked at 2.3 million viewers across ESPN2, ESPN+, and Disney+. That's not just a record, it's a statement. People aren't just curious about the Fever, they're clearing their schedules to watch them play. But here's where things get really wild. The Fever's social media game is on another level. We're talking about over 800 million video views across platforms. That's not a typo, 800 million. To put that in perspective, that's like every person in Europe watching a Fever highlight, twice. You know what's even crazier? The Fever aren't just popular for a WNBA team. They're the most engaged team across all major US sports franchises. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a team that's outperforming the likes of the NFL, NBA, and MLB on social media. That's not just impressive, it's revolutionary. This isn't just about likes and shares though. The Fever's media dominance is changing how people see women's basketball. Suddenly, it's not just a niche sport, it's must-see TV. People who've never watched a WNBA game before are tuning in, and they're liking what they see. And it's not just casual fans. The Fever's success is attracting attention from all corners. Businesses are lining up to partner with them, seeing the potential in this exploding fan base. It's like the whole world suddenly realized that women's basketball isn't just exciting, it's marketable. But here's the real kicker. This isn't just a flash in the pan. The Fever are building something sustainable. Every viral clip, every record-breaking broadcast, every new fan they bring in is laying the foundation for long-term success. They're not just having a good season, they're changing the game. Think about it. A year ago, most people couldn't name a single player on the Fever's roster. Now, they're household names. Kids are wearing Fever jerseys to school. Adults are planning their evenings around Fever games. It's a complete 180, and it's happening at lightning speed. And it's not just about the Fever. Their success is lifting the entire WNBA. Other teams are seeing increased interest. The league as a whole is getting more attention. It's like the Fever lit a spark, and now the whole league is catching fire. The Fever's hot streak isn't just heating up Indiana, it's setting the stage for a whole new era in women's sports. You think this season is big? Wait till you hear about what's coming next. The WNBA is about to get a whole lot bigger. We're talking expansion, folk. The Golden State Valkyries are gearing up to join the league next season, and there's even talk of a Toronto franchise by 2026. This isn't just adding a team or two, it's a sign that women's basketball is ready for prime time. But here's the thing, it's not just about more teams. The Fever's success is changing how everyone looks at women's sport. Other teams are taking note, and you can bet they're going to step up their game. We're talking better marketing, more fan engagement, the work. It's like the Fever showed everyone what's possible, and now everyone wants a piece of the action. You know what's really exciting? This isn't just about basketball. The Fever's success is sparking conversations about investing in women's sports across the board. Imagine more money flowing into women's soccer, hockey, you name it. We could be looking at a whole new landscape for female athletes. And it's not just talk. Businesses are starting to see the light. They're realizing that partnering with women's sports teams isn't just good PR, it's good business. More sponsorships mean more money, and more money means better facilities, better training, and better opportunities for players. Let's talk about the players for a second. The Fever's success isn't just filling seats, it's changing lives. With more attention and more money coming into the league, we could see player salaries go up. That means more women can make a real career out of playing the sport they love. It's not just about the game anymore. It's about creating real, sustainable careers in women's sport. But you know what's really wild? The media is finally catching on. We're seeing more coverage, more analysis, more airtime dedicated to women's basketball. It's like the Fever flipped a switch, and suddenly everyone realized how exciting this sport can be. Mel Raines, the big boss at Pacer Sports and Entertainment, said it best. This is a historic moment, an inflection point for women's basketball, and there's nothing more fitting than Indiana being at the center of it all. She's right. This isn't just a good season, it's a turning point. Think about it. A year ago, people were wondering if the WNBA could survive. Now, we're talking about expansion, record-breaking attendance, and a whole new generation of fans falling in love with the game. It's like night and day. And here's the really exciting part. This is just the beginning. The Fever have shown what's possible, but they're not the only ones who can do it. Every team in the league now has a blueprint for success. It's like the Fever opened the door, and now everyone's rushing to get through it. You know what's crazy? We might look back on this season as the moment everything changed for women's basketball. The moment it went from a niche sport to a major player in the sports world. The moment when people stopped asking, can women's basketball succeed? And started asking, how big can it get? Wow, what a ride it's been for the Indiana Fever. From struggling to fill seats to shattering attendance records, they've come a long way. But here's the million-dollar question. Can they keep this momentum going? The Fever aren't just breaking records. They're changing the game. Half the league's teams are now averaging over 10,000 fans per game. That's huge, and it's not just about numbers. Mel Raines, the CEO of Pacers Sports and Entertainment, says this is a historic moment for women's basketball. But you know what's really exciting? This could be just the beginning. The Fever's marketing game is on point, with more national coverage and killer social media. They're not just winning games, they're winning fans. So are you ready to be part of history? The Fever are leading the charge, and the future of women's basketball looks brighter than ever. Don't miss out on what's coming next.